all fear more than God, which is teaching us all these things. There is a need certainly for inner rebooting. And when we say inner rebooting, according to yoga, it takes 40 days for a new habit to be formed, 90 days for it to be confirmed, 120 days for it to become a part of you, and 1,000 days for it to become who you are. So we require to carry these lessons beyond the lockdown, appreciate the meaning of freedom, respect for all, and I think then we will be able to take on the outer world differently so that we can create a new normal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Asha. Can I go to Honey now from Durban? Honey, are you there?
Hi, DK. I'm in Cape Town, not Durban, but thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, while we heard Asha just now on the rebuilding process, what are your views to get women power involved, voluntarily as well as to a process route to get going and growing? Do you expect some changes beyond COVID in mindset of people? I mean, you have only 1.5 minutes. Please be fast and quick and brief.
Thank you. I agree with Sunny that we need far more women in leadership roles and using their voice, and we need far more platforms to amplify the voices of women. But to answer your question from the perspective of volunteerism, I think that we have seen the best of humanity in action in the last few weeks, certainly in my country and from things I've seen on social media in many different parts of the world. Personally, I've seen many professionals, women and men who are in lockdown, repurpose their kitchens as soup kitchens for the hungry, because one of the most vulnerable communities that have been impacted have been the homeless, people on the street, and in South Africa, children who are used to receiving their main meal of the day at school. Without schools in place, these children are hungry, and people in the middle class have rallied around to raise funds, to cook, to assist volunteer organizations in expanding their footprint and feeding beyond the usual schemes that they were doing pre-COVID. Similarly, we've seen the rise of coaches, counselors, little community leaders in using social media platforms to avail themselves to announce their readiness to provide emotional and psychological support for vulnerable women, victims of gender-based violence, and single unemployed moms via telephone or social media. A lot of the disadvantage or inaccessibility has also been that being on online platforms takes data. And the poorest of the poor don't have this access because it's a choice between a loaf of bread or being available online. We've also seen many SMEs owners, micro enterprise owners funding mask making projects run by women in community to help them generate an income. So we've seen the best of humanity come into action, but a lot of us have spent time fantasizing about this new world beyond COVID. And we imagine all kinds of glorious things because we've seen the rapid way that the earth has shown us it can heal itself when we eat. However, if we want the world that we're imagining to be created, we have to be conscious about its creation and present in the design of that world. And that points to some of the things that have been missing up to now and that we need to see going forward from a process and government perspective. Certainly, we must continue a call for active citizenship across the board. And this means we need to hold politicians accountable. We can't only complain about the caliber of their leadership and the exclusions in their policies. So this means that we need to promote organizations. For example, in South Africa, we've seen the rise of the People's Coalition and other community response initiatives, calling government to recognize and prioritize the needs of children, the homeless, and women-run households, women-run community projects. And we're already facing very high unemployment rates. Women are well placed.
Honey, please unmute yourself.
Hello? Or did somebody mute me? Hello?
Yes, honey, I'm so sorry. Host here. Please unmute yourself and carry on. Thank you.
Thank you. So this new world can only be created if we're conscious and present in the design of it, which means we need to join coalitions, we need to form community activation groups to rally around calling the government to account and to participate fully in the design of the new normal. we need to recognize that women are well placed to influence the design and implementation of prevention activities and community engagements. So this basically points to the inclusion of women in community, the inclusion of women in policy making, the inclusion of women in decision making processes, because the less women are included, the less our very distinct needs are going to be addressed in meaningful ways. And then lastly, the point I want to make is that the development of strong women leadership initiatives need to be forwarded at every level, community, regional government, national government, because this will ensure a gender sensitive approach to our economic policies, to our social and economic projects. And the design must lead to a new awareness of what it is to include women and children in meaningful ways. So I expect the future needs to have a rise in active citizenship and a determination to create social enterprises that are far more focused on people than profit. Unless there's a shift in our values and a willingness for us to reassess our role as women in society, we are not going to see the world we want to have created. So we need to see that this values plays a huge role in how we create business in the future and how we lead. Thanks, DK,
Thank you
very
very
much for
much,
this.
Honey. Thanks a lot. You added a lot of value to the discussions, and I think there are a lot of solutions which have come out. And I get now Carolina. Carolina, are you around? Carolina, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. I can hear you, DK. Thank you.
Yeah. Please tell us about a list of some of the essentials for women involvement in rebooting exercise at the family and the community level. Again, it will be another list we can keep on adding. Your thoughts, max 1.5 to 2 minutes.
Absolutely. Okay, so I want to leave you with 3 takeaways, 3 things, 3 lessons I think we all need to consider. Number 1, now it's beautiful time to reflect because we have more time, we are more at home, there is no travel, there is no place to go anywhere except for your own bathroom or kitchen. So we should reflect more. Quite often we neglect reflection, but we need to ask ourselves, what do we stand for? What is really meaningful? And start doing more things that matter to us, and do not focus too much on worrying on the things that you cannot change, because it doesn't lead us anywhere. So reflect what really matters and focus on what matters, stand up for what matters to you personally, to the society, to the whole nation, and then stand up for this. So the number 1 lesson I think we need to learn is to spend some time in the reflection mode and look inside, not outside. The second lesson I think is very important is how do we reconnect? Now everyone is isolation, but I also notice that there is more kindness, there is more helping each other. People are reaching out, asking, how are you, checking in with each other. I think we lost it. And it only happens right now when people are more home-based. I think when we reconnect again, or now we are reconnecting again, we need to think how we can keep that humility, how we can keep that kindness, how we can be more helpful to each other. So I think during Reconnect, the great question to ask is, how can I help you? Can I bring you some value? Can I teach you something? Can we learn from each other? Can we cooperate? And I did that for some time now, and I got really inspired. I got really empowered from what I heard from people. So I would encourage you to reconnect with people you didn't talk for a long time, with some clients, with business partners. Everyone is in some kind of challenge right now. So time is perfect for reconnecting. Number 3, we must reinvent, because the normal that we expect to be after, it's not going to be that normal. It's going to be a new normal. We got already disrupted because of the virus. When things are over, it will be another disruption. So what does it mean for us? It means that we have a chance to reshape the future. We have a chance to contribute to a better future than it was. So I think for us, it's time to step up and really think about what matters and be courageous to do that, and be courageous to speak about it, and be courageous even to help one person. Because my friend says, you cannot change the world, but you can change at least one person. So if every one of us will stand up for what matters to us and what we really care about, then it will be a meaningful change. So now, step number 3 is reinvent, and I hope every one of us can reinvent something, even on a family level, on a small scale first, but this is very empowering. If you really start changing small things, it will empower you. And I always say, because I help leaders to overcome fear, I always say to people something that I want to leave you with. Inaction beats fear. Action beats it. So please take some action, and then you will be part of reinventing the future. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, DK.
Thanks a lot. Minnow has not been able to reconnect, and I am moving forward, so she's not there. Mati, are you there? Looking at
Absolutely
Mati
am.
Johnson. Yeah, you're here. Looking at the future, which is similar, unexpected, and unknown viral, would come in. How do you see we preparing ourselves, especially the women power, into a proactive state of thought and action? It would be great if you could focus on the aspect of deliberation to get our audience some thoughts from your side, especially building lifelines at various levels. Thank you.
Thank you. So you are talking about how to prepare for the unexpected in times of uncertainty, right?
Yeah.
I would say I want to focus again about the points I made earlier about why some of the women leaders are succeeding right now. It is because they are embracing the uncertainty. They're not trying to know it all. They're putting their egos to the side. So if you also will do the same, of knowing that sometimes we just don't know. One thing that can come in the way with a lot of women is a search for perfectionism, being perfectionist about everything we do. That is one of the things that is holding a lot of us back. So if we can overcome this, embrace the uncertainty and focus on, hey, we might be a little bit better than men, and putting the egos to the side and simply making the best out of it, because all right, we take a decision based on what we know in this situation. We've listened to the expert, we've listened to others. We take quick action because we care about other people. So with that in mind, that we don't have to focus on, are we putting our egos up front? No, we know that we can always change opinions tomorrow. If we embrace all of that, we'll be out there as strong female leaders.
Thank you very much. Thanks a ton. Ruchi, are you there? Ruchi, what is your take when I'm asking you a specific question of do's and don'ts, especially for women power, for the builders of family approach and values, especially in India when women drives the family strongly? Can you give me your thoughts on these
Yes.
things? Second. Yeah, Ruchi.
All right. So, I request you and all the participants to join me in an imaginary toast. It's like, here's to strong women. May we know them, may we be them, and may we raise them. Now, it's not my quote at all, but that's my message. If we women, like you rightly said, are actually the value drivers, not only in India, actually world over. So it is very important that first we know our own power. We have to know our own worth, like value yourself. And these are not feel happy quotes. See, positive self esteem has a very powerful psychological impact, which reflects in everything we do. And then another thing is set boundaries, especially now that because of this unnatural situation, we are all home, and a lot of gender biases, all the challenges which are faced by women any which ways have been exaggerated, right? So it is very important to set boundaries, and you don't have to be very aggressive about it. Just have a buy-in. And then also, if people, like in corporate world, you get the buy-in, and if you don't, then maybe you have to let it slide sometimes so that people know the kind of value add you are doing. That is very key. Another thing is, right now kids are home, right? So why not use that for education and have important conversations like sexual education, why violence is bad under any circumstances, things like that. It is extremely important. And walk the talk. If you are saying that everyone has to be treated equally, then you behave and you demand that kind of respect, because that's the best way of teaching others when you are a living example of that. Then one thing very important is, don't try to be a superwoman. We women, we think, ask for help and you'll be surprised. Most of the time we are very blessed to have good family members supportive, but you have to let them know that you're struggling. It is very critical, and that could take a lot of stress away. Third is, make this is something I shared in the UN also. We have to take care of our mental health, like maybe make meditation, pranayama a part of your daily routine and part of the daily routine of the entire family. A happy family makes a happy world. One thing is, like, domestic violence, it is increasing so much. And since I work, I get a lot of women who reach out to me, especially in India where there are joint families. A lot of women tell me that when they are being beaten up, the in-laws are also in the house. So it's my request to the ladies, forget the relationship. Think of you. How would you feel as a human being, as a lady? I mean, even men, but since it's a woman summit, stand up for other women, irrespective of the relationship who's there. Because when we stand up for a cause, we make it easy for everyone else who's struggling with that cause. And I would like to end with one thing. All of us have immense power within us. My question is, actually, I have two questions. One is, what are you going to do with that power? Are you going to use it? And if you're going to use it, are you going to use it for good or bad? The choice is yours. So that is all I can share in short.
Thank you so much, Ruchi. Wonderful. Sunny from Washington, D.C. Are you there?
Yes, I'm
Sunny?
here.
Yeah. Well, Sunny, now COVID is a bigger war than any other war in the world, which is war against the human race. What is going to be different so far as women power is concerned post-COVID lockdown? I firmly believe there will be, because everybody is discussing about the changes of mindset, the way we used to live and the way we will live, the way we used to work and the way we will work now. Could you please add on the lessons learned and how future is going to be? And you have only 1.5 minutes. We are racing with the time now.
I know. Thank you so much. I think one of the major lessons that we will all learn is how much we need one another, how much we depend on each other. And as women, we are more connected than we are separated. We are more empowered when we work together, when we support men and children. We bring our families as a collective to the table. I think we will learn how much humanity has been challenged when we don't come together as a human race to address all of the things that can impact us. Someone said it earlier. Nature has really shown us, Mother Nature has shown us her power by all of the things that are impacting us now. And we must come together for the collective good to make a difference for ourselves, our families, and the world. And as you have us on this call, all of the women, the men, the families that are impacted by our voices, by our stories, by our work, this is good. From this, we can change the world by continuing to do good, not as individuals, but do good collectively. And women can lead the way with our hearts, with our compassion, and with our empowerment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Last but not the least, Sally.
Hello.
Is around. Sally, keeping in view, world is too small and anything and anywhere impacts us. How is the future global world going to be that small? Do you expect some changes happening in globalization post-COVID? Do you think there will be an impact to turn this local into global, global into local, thinking global and acting local? How is scenario going to be post-COVID? Sally, you have 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, DK. I agree with all the comments that have been said so far. I think there's been some fantastic wisdom shared. And when we think about the impact globally and then locally, part of me thinks that once we're through this, some of the bigger brands, the bigger manufacturers, some of the bigger corporations will probably return to their old normal to some degree. And so we might not see a whole lot of change happening. And that's the cynical side of me. The hopeful side of me, however, looks at the Australian component. And because local manufacturing in Australia has been declining, there's a really great opportunity coming forth now for Australia to look at manufacturing that can fill in the gaps where we are missing out on any sort of global trade opportunities. There are going to be silver linings coming out of this for sure. In Australia, 2/3 of small business owners are actually owned and operated by women. And so there is power in small business in Australia. It's very commonly known across Australia that we, if it wasn't for small business, we wouldn't be a country. And so our local leaders are mainly women. We also, there was a comment made before about how we need more women running countries. I absolutely agree with that. And I agree that we need to acknowledge the women who are on the front line, who are leading in their own way. They may not have prime minister or president, they might not have CEO, but our women are at the front line. They're the teachers, they're the nurses in the majority. And so they are actually leaders in those emergency rooms. They are leaders in those wards. They are leaders in those classrooms. And I think we're seeing local communities cheer for our nurses and praise our teachers. And I think that is a beautiful local change that is happening. My question would be, if we were to make the most of this opportunity and we were to find the silver lining, what is it that you need to let go of so that you can actually come through this in a better position than you were ever before? How do you pivot what you do now? And how do you bring innovation and creativity to your thinking right now so that you are ready on the other side? We're at the end of the survival phase. We're working our way into the revival phase. Then we need to be ready to drive so then we can thrive. And I think that's the key thing for locally. We need to focus on what we can do in our own area of influence, because when we influence the people directly around us, and then they influence the people directly around them, and then they influence, and so on, the ripple effect is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be positive. And I'm actually super excited about how our world will look on the other side of COVID. Thank you, DK. Thank you to all the speakers. Thank you to everyone listening. It has been a challenge and a beautiful time and a fantastic conversation. I'll hand back to you now, DK.
Yeah, thanks a ton. Thank you very much, Sally. In fact, we are already racing with the time, and this coronavirus is something which has hit us, all of us, hard. And I have been talking about this coronavirus, corona. And finally, I said, C is compassion leading to survival. C is compassion leading to survival. O is onset for new normal. O is onset for new normal. R is rapture futuristic vision. Rapture futuristic vision. O is onus to deliver results. Onus to deliver results. N is navigate people and processes. Navigate people and processes. A is honesty for future volatility. Compassion leading to survival, onset for new normal, rapture futuristic vision, onus to deliver results, navigate people and processes, honesty for future volatility. Now we need to actually go ahead and actually close this. And may I request Dr. Asha Bhandarkar, quick summary and close this session, please. Asha ji, may I request you, please? Dr. Bhandarkar.
Yeah, I'm very much here. How many minutes?
Yes, ma'am. Please close, please summarize the entire thing and close, ma'am. I cannot get anybody else, but I request you.
Okay.
First of all, their sincere apologies. There have been very bad technology which could not take many more people in. There were a lot of people waiting, and there were a lot of voices, and muting the microphones was not getting possible. Speakers could not. I sincerely apologize, speakers, as well as the participants, audience who want to come. Having said that, still I think we have some great ideas, great thoughts from all the speakers and Dr. Bedi. I request Asha Bhatt, please summarize and close.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, DK, for this opportunity. First of all, let me say I am deeply inspired listening to all the wonderful suggestions and ideas coming from these conversations with our wonderful colleagues on this panel. I think salute to all of you. You have all come up with brilliant new ideas. If somebody was putting it together and writing something, it's going to be a lot of rich material. Two things which struck me from what Dr. Kiran Bedi said in the inaugural. The past is history, and she meant past even just 2 months ago. Humanity is flattened out. Really, everybody, what she means is at the same level. All of us are at the same level in the face of this virus. Back to school to relearn new values. I think she said it so amazing. Now, I'm trying to take up the points which various people have highlighted. What is coming out is we have to reimagine a better world. More importantly, we have to create that world. And we women have the capacity, provided we are bold, we are less perfectionist, we are more confident. We have to create a new normal. And for that, we have to be, first of all, rebooting ourselves from inside, take care of ourselves. Number two, we should be prepared to adapt and to take help from others rather than being the ones who are carrying, in the Indian symbolism, being the, Mother Nature or being Durga, taking on everything and doing everything. Next is embrace uncertainty. I think that point was very beautifully made by one of our speakers, saying that don't try to be perfectionist, embrace uncertainty and find your way as you go along, as long as you have your heart in the right place, as long as your intentions are good, things are going to fall in place. Reflect more and prioritize. This is another important point which came, that don't be a victim of habits. Move forward in terms of using the time to come out with what is it that you really want? What is it that you want to become? Become kinder, become helpful. In small ways, take steps which can help others, and you, in that process, feel more empowered. Great tips on leadership. Leaders don't have to be macho, and leaders need to be kinder. Leaders need to be demonstrating more of the feminine, nurturant, caring, human qualities. And that could be a man or that could be a woman. But in this hour, these are the qualities which are needed. We have to actively take steps to create that new future. And women have so much of talent, so much of capability, so much of energy. Use your power for good. Influence people around you in whichever small way you can, through conversations, through education. And lastly, at the national level, and I think these are three important points, focus on local rather than global. Focus on local manufacturing, focus on job creation. Let more women become political leaders, come into the fray, rise to the top. And lastly, and most importantly, the world needs economics with a human face. I think that's what is going to be the new normal. Without that, I don't think we can survive as a human race, because nature has shown us and nature can show us again and again. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, Dr. Padarkar. Great. I must really thank you and, offer my thanks by holding my hands. I would like to thank Dr. Kiran Bedi, our chief guest who was here, as well as everybody, Dr. Asha Padarkar, Hani, Carolina, Meenu, Betty, Ruchi, Sunny, Sandy, for their contribution to make this event possible and some meaningful. Yes, I am grateful to the audience who could come from various countries to be part of us and make this event at least somewhere possible. I sincerely apologize for some of the technology issues and some of the people not able to make it. However, having said that, this is the first time after this COVID has taught us to be at home and start working at home, and this way talking to each other around the world. It is still in the learning process. Thank you very much, everyone, all the speakers, all the audience, those who have left, those who are still here. Whatever questions will be there, we will put in a blog and would certainly respond. Good night. Thank you very much. And again, take care of yourself. I salute all the women leaders who came here and addressed this gathering. I feel proud of it, and from the core of my heart, personally from the core of my heart, I respect. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, bye.